Austin's biggest shock, Travis Hunter heads to the Chiefs. An earth-shaking update just dropped in the NFL world. Travis Hunter is expected to suit up for the Kansas City Chiefs, a move that has sent shockwaves through the league. This is next-level news, folks. Hunter, a rare two-way phenom from Colorado, won the Heisman Trophy just last year. The Jaguars famously drafted him second overall in April and signed him to a historic 4-year, $46,650,000, 0 cents, fully guaranteed deal, complete with a jaw-dropping $30,600,000, 0 cents signing bonus. So what changed? Nothing official has been disclosed yet by the Chiefs. They haven't identified who they might trade or release in his place, which makes this even more dramatic. Picture the Chiefs shaking up their roster, but remaining tight-lipped on the biggest burning question: who's sacrificing their spot for Hunter? Adding fuel to the hype is none other than Travis Kelce, who recently speculated that opposing offenses might relentlessly target Hunter if he's playing defense, hitting him with deep routes until he physically wears down. Jaw-dropping. What Patrick Mahomes just revealed about the Chiefs' Super Bowl defeat will leave you stunned. This revelation flips everything we thought we knew on its head. Chiefs Kingdom, brace yourselves. Before we unravel this seismic revelation that's about to send shockwaves across the entire NFL landscape, make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is on. You're not going to want to miss what's coming next. Drop a W in the comments if your faith in our Chiefs still burns bright, or an L if that February heartbreak shook your belief. And trust me, stay with me until the very end of this video, because what Mahomes just disclosed could completely transform your expectations for the season ahead. After years of dominance, glory, and magical postseason runs, the Kansas City Chiefs fan base has been tossed into an emotional whirlwind unlike anything in recent memory. We've watched our squad mesmerize the league, rewrite record books, and hoist trophies, but what happened in that Super Bowl shattered more than just a dream. It fractured the aura of invincibility that had surrounded Chiefs Kingdom. But now, Patrick Mahomes has broken his silence. And what he's sharing about that loss and what it means going forward might just change everything. Let's rewind to that heart-wrenching night in February, a stage set for immortality. The Chiefs stood on the cusp of achieving what no team in the modern NFL era had done, a historic three-peat. But that dream unraveled under the bright lights as millions watched the Eagles dismantle what we believed was an untouchable dynasty, a 40-22 blowout. 2 uncharacteristic Mahomes interceptions, 1 returned for 6. The silence in Chiefs Kingdom was deafening. Arrowhead had been electric all season, a 15-1 regular season run. Starters rested in Week 18. A playoff gauntlet stormed through with dominance. All signs pointed toward another coronation, but Super Bowl Sunday was a nightmare, not just a loss, a collapse. The Eagles didn't just win, they imposed their will. Chiefs fans across the globe stared in disbelief, frozen by a performance that felt more like a horror film than a championship bout. In the days that followed, Charles Omenihu tried to spark hope. He spoke of Mahomes going on a revenge tour, a rallying cry that resonated. We clung to it. We needed it. In the darkest hours, belief is oxygen. But now, Mahomes has delivered a message that veers in a very different and far more profound direction. During a recent appearance on FanDuel TV's Up and Adams, Mahomes offered a calm, introspective reflection, one that cuts deeper than any dramatic promise of revenge. Rather than feeding the fire of vengeance, he revealed a mindset forged in discipline, wisdom, and resolve. I'm honestly just ready to play football again, Mahomes said. At first glance, it's a simple statement, but let it sink in. That's not the voice of bitterness. That's not empty fire. That's clarity. That's evolution. Mahomes isn't chasing ghosts or headlines. He's chasing excellence. His calm isn't weakness. It's lethal focus. The kind of mindset that wins in January, not just on talk shows. Whenever you lose, he continued, you have that taste in your mouth. You want to go out there and avenge that, or whatever you want to call it, but at the same time, I've had to sit back and listen to people talk, and now I just want to play football and let the results speak. I don't want to talk. I want to show who we are as the Kansas City Chiefs. Let that land. This isn't about sound bites. This is about strategy. Mahomes isn't driven by noise. He's fueled by execution. While critics run their mouths, he's sharpening his mind, refining his reads, and preparing to remind the world exactly who he is, not with words, but with throws that scorch the sky. What this shows is monumental: emotional maturity, mental steel, and an unshakable command of what really matters: the game. Yes, he's heard the doubt. Yes, he's been criticized, but he's internalized it, not reacted to it, and that makes him more dangerous than ever. So here's what it means for the 2025 season. We're not looking at a quarterback drunk on revenge. We're looking at a general locked in on legacy. We're looking at Patrick Mahomes 3 elevated, laser-focused, and out for something bigger than payback. Something tells me this story isn't ending in heartbreak, it's only just beginning. If you're still riding with Mahomes, drop a ha in the comments and let the world know Chiefs Kingdom never dies. And don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell, and stay locked in, because this next chapter, it's going to be legendary. It's the beginning of something much deeper. What we're seeing now is about far more than football. It's about legacy, longevity, relationships, and decisions that keep grown men awake at night. The Kansas City Chiefs have been the gold standard of the NFL for nearly a decade, and one of the primary architects of that success, right alongside Patrick Mahomes, has been number 87, the heartbeat of their offense, the safety valve in every crisis. But when whispers start about retirement, when a legend begins to publicly float the idea of year-by-year thinking, that's when you know the foundation is beginning to tremble. Let me paint the full picture. This isn't just about a tight end nearing the end of his career. This is about the potential end of an era, one that redefined dominance in professional football. We're talking about a duo, Mahomes and Kelce, that has tortured defensive coordinators, written record books, and shattered playoff expectations year after year. But now there's hesitation in the air. Now we're hearing words like final stretch, thinking about the future, 1 year at a time. And if you know the game the way I do, you know what that really means. The countdown has started. See, when a warrior like Travis Kelce, someone who's defined consistency, toughness, and postseason excellence, starts talking about the mental toll, that's not just idle speculation. That's the internal conversation beginning to spill into public view. Let's rewind the tape to that podcast interview, the one most fans dismissed as harmless banter. But I listened closer, and what I heard, it wasn't just a veteran giving a polished answer. It was a man staring down the final chapters of a Hall of Fame career, wondering how many more pages he truly wants to write. And that's why Chiefs fans should be concerned, because this isn't just any player, this is Patrick Mahomes' most trusted weapon, his red zone assassin, his third down lifesaver. When the pressure is suffocating and the moment demands a play, Mahomes looks one way, toward 87. And Kelce delivers, always has, until maybe now? Because here's the truth. Last season, the numbers told a different story. Production dipped. Red zone dominance wasn't as automatic. Explosiveness wasn't quite the same. Was it age, offensive evolution, fatigue, or was it something deeper, like a man already mentally wrestling with what life after football might look like? Let's not forget, Father Time is undefeated. And while Kelce still has flashes of greatness, the question isn't, can he still play? It's, does he still want to? Because there's a brutal reality in this game. The hits feel heavier when you know the end is near. The mental weight becomes crushing, and suddenly every yard you fight for becomes more expensive, more taxing. If Travis Kelce steps away soon, it reconfigures the entire Chiefs offense. For years, defenses have been forced to game plan around the Mahomes-Kelce connection. Double teams, bracket coverage, entire schemes designed to neutralize 87 over the middle. If that element disappears, defensive coordinators get aggressive. The field compresses. Mahomes is forced to rely on unproven weapons in the biggest moments. It's not just a personnel shift. It's a seismic tactical shift. And it doesn't end there. There's also the contract situation, a variable every fan needs to factor in. When a player of Kelce's stature enters a contract year, it's never just about dollars. It's about what's left to prove, what matters most, and what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. Let me tell you something that gets lost in the noise. Championship windows are fragile. They don't slam shut all at once. They creak, they shift, and then, without warning, they're gone. The Chiefs' core. Mahomes, Kelce Jones has carried this franchise to greatness, but believing it'll last forever, that's a mistake history has punished time and time again. Y'all better brace yourselves, because what I'm about to reveal is about to send seismic waves across the entire NFL landscape. This isn't your run-of-the-mill locker room chatter. This is high-stakes, championship-tier drama that's got me fired up and ready to break it all down for you. Watch this video till the very end. I'm dropping game-changing insight that every true Chiefs fan needs to hear. Drop a W in the comments if you're still riding with the dynasty. Drop an L if you think the Chiefs are losing their grip. And don't forget to slam that subscribe button. It's about to get real. Now listen up, because what's unfolding in the NFL right now has more plot twists than a primetime thriller. And I'm here to dissect it layer by layer. I've been around this league long enough to recognize smoke from fire. And right now, there's some wild delusion coming out of Miami. It's got the entire football world buzzing. Let me paint the picture. There's a certain wide receiver down in South Beach running his mouth like he's already locked in a Super Bowl ring for next season. And while I'll never knock a man for having confidence in this league, confidence is currency. There's a fine line between belief and straight-up fantasy. And what I heard this week had me questioning whether someone in Florida has been standing in the sun too long without a helmet. Let me remind y'all who we're talking about here. The Kansas City Chiefs. This isn't just some scrappy playoff team. This is the reigning empire, the gold standard. A franchise that's appeared in 3 straight Super Bowls, captured back-to-back titles, and redefined what it means to build a sustainable dynasty. They didn't luck into greatness, they engineered it. Through elite drafting, strategic acquisitions, and a culture rooted in grit, discipline, and execution. Since 2020, nobody, and I mean nobody, has touched the summit more than Kansas City. While other franchises talk a big game, the Chiefs play it and win it. They've weathered roster turnover, salary cap gymnastics, and the weight of massive expectations. And yet, when the lights shine brightest, they deliver. That's the DNA of champions, but apparently some folks have short-term memory loss when it comes to recognizing sustained greatness. See, this particular wide receiver used to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes, the very heart of this dynasty. He knows what excellence looks like. He knows what it's like to thrive in a culture of high standards and higher results. But now that he's wearing aqua and orange, he's out here talking like the Dolphins are the second coming of the 72 undefeated squad. Now again, belief in your squad is essential. But belief without substance? That's delusion wrapped in a podcast clip. Let me remind you, the Miami Dolphins haven't won a single playoff game since the year 2000. That's over 2 decades of postseason irrelevance. That's before smartphones, before Twitter, before half these players were even born. Now let's talk about Andy Reid's comments in that press conference. Those weren't just offhand remarks, they were a declaration of total warfare. When Reid challenges Mahomes to push the ball deep, he's not simply outlining a strategy, he's daring him to unleash the full might of the NFL's most gifted arm. We've seen Mahomes manage games, pick apart defenses underneath and play it safe. But when he's locked in on hunting big plays, when he's determined to attack vertically and strike fear into secondaries, well, buckle up. Because that's when dynasties are built and legends are forged. Defenses pay a steep price for their coverage choices. That's when Mahomes becomes truly unstoppable. Let's rewind to 2022 for a moment. 5,250 yards through the air. Let that figure sink in for a second. That's not just leading the league. That's obliterating it. 435 completions, averaging over 300 yards per game, 41 touchdown passes, and hoisting the MVP trophy at season's end. But here's what makes this scenario even more electrifying. The arsenal he has now might be even deadlier than it was back then. The speed factor cannot be overstated. When Worthy is blazing past defensive backs like they're rooted to the ground, when Brown is stretching defenses vertically, when Rice is slicing through coverages like a hot knife through butter, and when Royals is making highlight reel plays that leave coaches speechless, you're looking at an offense that defenses simply cannot cover. They can't double team everybody. They can't bracket every route. And when Patrick Mahomes finds single coverage, game over. But speed alone, without precision, is just empty noise. What makes this Chiefs offense so lethal is the fusion of explosive capability with surgical execution. Mahomes isn't just launching deep balls and hoping for a miracle. He's placing passes exactly where they need to be, giving his receivers the perfect opportunity to make plays while keeping turnovers to a minimum. When Andy Reid talks about trusting his receivers downfield, he's talking about that rare synergy between quarterback brilliance and receiver skill that produces game-breaking plays at will. let's not underestimate the psychological factor here either. Defenses remember 2022. They remember getting torched for big plays, watching Mahomes dissect them with both finesse and firepower. Now they're watching film of this offseason, seeing these receivers running past defenders in practice, witnessing Mahomes make throws that defy physics. That kind of legacy creates fear, and fear breeds mistakes. Defensive backs start playing on their heels, safeties cheat over the top, linebackers drop deeper than they should. And when that happens, the floodgates open for everything else. Don't overlook the offensive line upgrades either. When Mahomes has the time to scan the field, step into his throws, and operate without relentless pressure in his face, that's when the real magic happens. The synergy of a fortified front line and an arsenal of weapons creates a perfect storm that no defense is equipped to weather. But here's what really excites me, the motivation factor. Losing that Super Bowl wasn't just a disappointment, it was jet fuel. Champions don't stay on the mat, they get up swinging harder than ever before. Mahomes has been in the gym with a sense of purpose that goes far beyond staying in shape. Every throw in practice, every route and walkthroughs, every film session, it's all been building toward one singular mission: domination. The real question isn't whether the Chiefs can bounce back. The question is whether the rest of the NFL is ready for what's coming. Because when you've got a quarterback of Mahomes' caliber, a receiving core that can attack every level of the field, a head coach who's one of the greatest offensive masterminds in football history, and a locker room fueled by the bitter taste of defeat, you're not just looking at a good team. You're looking at a weapon of mass destruction. The Chiefs aren't just aiming to regain respect, they're coming for everything. The passing yards crown, the touchdown records, that elusive Super Bowl trophy. And most importantly, they're coming to make a statement that last season was a fluke, not a trend. What do you think, Chiefs Kingdom? Are you ready to watch this offense steamroll everything in its path? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you believe this team is about to unleash hell, and hit subscribe because you won't want to miss a single second of the destruction that's about to unfold. Investing in young talent is essential for sustained success, and by making room on the roster, the Chiefs are setting the stage for a new wave of playmakers to step up. It's a strategic approach that has paid off in the past, and there's every reason to believe it will continue to do so. Additionally, these moves are part of a broader plan to ensure long-term success. By making calculated roster decisions now, the Chiefs are positioning themselves to remain competitive for years to come. Thank you guys. See you next video. The effortless separation he once created, now it's manufactured, more dependent on schemes and spacing. Even Pro Football Focus handed him a modest 71.7 grade last season. Good for 13th out of 74 tight ends. Respectable? Sure. But for a man who's owned a top 3 spot for nearly a decade, that's a throne beginning to tremble. Now let me be clear. This isn't a eulogy. Kelsey can still ball. He's better than most tight ends in the league. But in the cutthroat world of fantasy football, where production, consistency, and upside reign supreme, his trajectory is trending the wrong way. Let's talk volume. The lifeblood of fantasy tight ends. Even if a player's physical tools are eroding, heavy target share can disguise it. The issue? That monopoly Kelsey enjoyed in Kansas City is fading. And it's not his fault. Last season, the Chiefs' receiving core was in shambles. Injuries left Kelsey as Mahomes' lone trusted target. In a twisted way, that boosted his fantasy stock, even during a statistical downturn. He was the emergency valve, the fallback, the dependable presence in a collapsing structure. But when Rashee Rice was healthy and active, we got a sobering preview of what's to come. In the 3 full games Rice played, start to finish, Kelsey's production crumbled. 8 catches, 69 yards, 0 touchdowns on 12 targets. Yes, it's a small sample. But extrapolate that over 17 games, and you're looking at just 45 catches for 391 yards. Numbers that wouldn't even crack the top 15 tight ends. That's a crisis for fantasy managers banking on vintage Kelsey. And here's the real pivot point: the Rashee Rice effect. Initially, the fantasy community clung to hopes that Rice might face a suspension in 2025, a potential saving grace for Kelsey's target dominance. But the latest buzz suggests Rice will likely be active from week 1, siphoning targets Kelsey used to feast on. And let's be real, Rice isn't just filler. He's explosive, ascending, and ready to step into the WR1 role. That reality fundamentally alters the Chiefs' offensive dynamic. Mahomes is evolving. His arsenal is expanding. And Kelce, for the first time in years, is morphing into a complementary weapon, not the cornerstone. That's the natural arc of aging, even for icons. The Chiefs have always prided themselves on maximizing space and playmaker potential, but with a healthy Rice, we'll see broader target distribution, more creativity, and fewer plays where Kelce is Mahomes' unquestioned first read. And now, the truth nobody wants to confront: age. Kelce enters the 2025 season at 36 years old, a senior citizen in tight end years. The position demands youth, explosiveness, and endurance, three qualities that inevitably erode with time. Kelce's mind and hands remain elite, but the body is speaking a different language. Let's be real, the tight end position in the NFL demands a rare fusion of size, speed, agility, and elite hands. And the harsh reality is this: every one of those attributes erodes with time. What makes this position especially unforgiving is the constant physical punishment tight ends endure. Linebackers, safeties, and defensive backs collide with them on every level of the field. It's a role built on durability and grit, and few escape unscathed. The statistical truth: almost no tight ends sustain elite output into their mid-30s. Tony Gonzalez was the rare exception, but even he experienced late career dips. Jason Witten had flashes of brilliance, but fantasy-wise, his production became erratic. This is the unrelenting truth of the position. It chews up aging players and spits them out. Not even Travis Kelce is immune to the laws of physics and time. And this decline isn't just visible in the box score. The real warning lights are in the efficiency metrics: yards per target, yards after catch, separation per route. They've all been on a multi-year downward trajectory. That's not a blip, that's a trend. And in professional sports, trends in aging players rarely reverse. The fantasy football reality check. Let's not sugarcoat it. The tight end pool in fantasy football has long been a barren wasteland. A couple of stars dominate the top tier, followed by a cliff of mediocrity. But in 2025, the gap is even more pronounced. Brock Bowers has exploded onto the scene in Vegas, young, electric, and already the focal point. Trey McBride is a target magnet in Arizona. George Kittle, despite injury concerns, still possesses weak winning upside, and then there's everyone else. And unfortunately, that's where Kelce now resides. He's no longer the surefire, matchup-breaking force that can single-handedly swing fantasy titles. He's drifted into that murky middle tier where name value exceeds real value, and fantasy GMs are still paying a premium for past glory. The draft trap: Kelce's ADP is a mirage. Right now, Travis Kelce is being drafted as the T5, around pick 67 overall. That's the same territory as TJ Hawkinson, Chris Godwin, and Courtland Sutton. That's valuable draft capital, the kind that wins or loses leagues. Here's the problem: you're buying nostalgia, not future production. At that price point, you could secure a high-upside RB2, a breakout WR candidate, or a dependable flex weapon. Instead, you're gambling on a 36-year-old tight end whose metrics are falling, whose target share is shrinking, and whose red zone role is deteriorating. The opportunity cost is massive. Those mid-rounds are where rosters are fortified, where savvy drafters land the depth that carries them through injuries, bye weeks, and playoff pushes. Spending a six-rounder on a declining TE isn't just risky, it's a strategic misfire. Smarter strategy: draft like a pro. So what should smart fantasy managers do? Simple. If you can't land Bowers, McBride, or Kittle, punt the position. Target undervalued options like David Njoku, who's going significantly later but could match or exceed Kelce's production. Take a shot on Dalton Kincaid, who has the athleticism and opportunity in Buffalo to break out. Here's the kicker: the difference between TE5 and TE14 is often 20-30 fantasy points across the entire season. And that's less than 2 points per game, easily offset by hitting on a sleeper WR or a flex RB in those same rounds. The Chiefs' evolving offense, a shift in identity. This isn't just about Kelce, this is about how Andy Reid's offense is evolving. He's never been rigid, he adapts to maximize talent, and with a young, explosive weapon like Rashee Rice ready to shine, expect the playbook to favor more traditional passing routes, emphasizing speed and separation. Kelce won't be phased out, but his role will shift from featured playmaker to situational safety valve. He'll be valuable on third downs and in the red zone, but he won't command the target share that once made him fantasy gold. Plus, with a retooled offensive line and deeper backfield, expect more balanced play calling, more running, fewer passing attempts, and thus fewer opportunities across the board. Kansas City Chiefs Nation, it's time to strap in because your squad is about to receive a monumental boost heading into the 2025 season.